This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Head on over to patreon.com/Run, Eat, Drink podcast and subscribe today. Fans, founders, and insiders like you help us keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going. And we thank you for your support.
Hi, team. I'm Fitz Kohler, one half of Team Noisy, and you are listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to episode 213 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to the show, and we are back.
Indeed. We're back and actually recording.
We are.
Because we started recording this a little bit ago and got a few minutes in, and I realized I didn't hit the record button.
So we had to start again.
So, welcome to the show, everybody.
Sorry for the delay in this week's episode.
Yes, life got in the way, but
we're back.
We're back, baby, and I'm very excited. This is going to be a great week of a show for us because we are celebrating some fellow podcasters.
We are. The team from the Will Run For podcast.
Yes.
Tom, Diana, Aaron, and Michael.
Yeah, this crew is very special to us. They are just some amazing folks. We love their show. And we're going to be talking about their virtual race.
The virtually live race, the swag, the fanfare, all of it.
The online event, yes.
Yes.
It's a whole thing.
It was huge. So many from their community came out, and it was just a great time.
It really was. And since we are going to be talking about that virtual race this week with our friends from the Will Run For podcast, with whom we got to meet up.
In Virginia Beach.
When we
did the Shamrock Marathon weekend.
We're going to be rewinding?
Yes.
Flashing back?
Yes. We recapped the Shamrock Marathon weekend last week's episode. So this week, we're continuing the Virginia Beach love with some recommendations. Well, the most wonderful breakfast brunch recommendation from our fellow podcast hosts.
Yes. And it wouldn't be the Run, Eat, Drink podcast if we didn't bring you something to drink.
This time, we are starting off your morning right. Yes, we talked about, or we will talk about brunch, breakfast, amazing food. And because it's breakfast food, why not a fabulous set of breakfast beverages?
Yes. So we're going to be talking about an awesome coffee spot in Virginia Beach as well. So stay tuned for all of that on this week's episode. But first,
we have to say congratulations.
You've got,
to some people.
You've got a list here.
To Susie Beck on her Ogden Half Marathon weekend, and happy wedding anniversary as well.
I believe 19 years is what they're celebrating.
Yeah, something like 18 years married, 19 years together, something like that, they said.
Yeah.
And the picture that they posted of them in their wedding attire, just beautiful. Just so great. And we are just very lucky to know Susie, and she knows how to runcation right because everything looked beautiful.
Oh, Ogden, Utah looks like a place that's going to be a must go for us. We like the desert Southwest. We like that change of scenery, the lack of humidity,
of course,
and mountains and all that. So I think that's going to be a good one to add to our list of races to do, I think.
Congratulations, Susie.
Yes, and if you're paying attention at the top of the show, we were introduced by our friend and race announcer extraordinaire, half of Team Noisy, Fitz Kohler.
Yes.
She announced the Fargo Marathon this past weekend.
Yeah, that whole race weekend. And her counterpart, Rudy, was cheering on everybody at the Carlsbad 5000.
Yes.
And we announced a week early, that was my bad. We announced a week early that they were going to be out at the Buffalo Marathon weekend, which they are doing this upcoming weekend.
And I believe I shared a live stream to the Facebook page. So if you go to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast Facebook page, not the group, but the page, you will see that live stream there. They'll tell you a lot about the race weekend.
I love how she does, here's a preview of the race weekend and kind of walks you through what you need to do for the expo big pickup, each race, parking, logistics, all things that are special about a particular race weekend. And then she does a recap. She was on also doing a recap and a breakdown of how Fargo went. So she and Rudy, they know how to do it right. The whole experience from the pre to the main event to the post show as far as a race weekend goes.
Yeah, it's really cool. Check her out.
Yeah.
She's got her Facebook page. I believe that it was on Fitzness, on the Fitzness Facebook page. Those live streams are a lot of fun. You can participate, ask questions, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It really is to get a little bit of a heads up. We tend to do ours as more of a look back. This would give you kind of a look ahead.
I like it. And in looking ahead, we want to also wish Babs, who's running for Team Heart to Heart at that race weekend, good luck.
Yes.
And go get them. She doesn't need it.
No, she's got this.
But it's going to be a wonderful race weekend with both of them there.
100%. Now, are we going to shout out people who ran the race we're going to talk about on this week's show? I see this list is huge.
It is huge. Should we do it?
Do it.
Well, the We'll Run For virtually live race was this past weekend on Saturday.
Which we'll be talking about momentarily.
We did it, and we want to say congrats to Susie, who actually did it simultaneously with her half marathon this past weekend.
Overachiever.
Like Darlene, we have amazing people in the Runcation Nation.
We really do.
Jennifer Hall, Fun Size Jen, also Jennifer Fink, and Meg Brower and her mom, Ann. And might I say, Meg looked quite awesome, quite incredible in her shirt, in her Runcation Nation shirt.
Yes.
That she had on during the virtual. It was amazing. We also had Bob from Bob is 65 and Dopey.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire Will Run For team of podcast hosts, they were all over it and just put on a fantastic virtual race.
Indeed. We also had some people who were a little bit to the south of us, somewhere between here and Cuba.
So jealous. I'm so jealous.
Yeah. Cheryl was in the Florida Keys cheering and supporting the Keys 100. And Dean was also there pacing some friends as well. And I got to see posts and like the maps showing the race course and the pacing. It was just super cool. That's an interesting one. I don't have the Ultra Bug.
No, are you sure?
I'm positive. But if a race were to maybe start to tempt me, that might be it. Something that starts and ends in the Keys. Come on.
Well, I think they would have to promise you something on Duval Street, like DJ's Clam Shack or I don't know.
I was going to say keep going because it would take more than that.
Captain Tony's.
D, all of the above.
What is it? Irish Kevin's, My Blue Heaven.
We can just start at one end and do the post-race recovery walk
Fluffy Joe's.
to the other end.
All of it.
That would be
Fat
just
Tuesdays.
Fine.
Yeah.
But listen, that was the list.
We scoured. We tried. If
we
missed anybody, we apologize.
And we'd like to know more for next week's episode. So do us a favor.
To us, yes.
If you'd like a shout out on the show or know somebody who needs one, send it to us. We do our best to collect them throughout the week, and it makes it really easy if you email them to us at info@runeatdrink.net. That's info@runeatdrink.net. Tell us who needs the shout out and what the shout out's for, as much detail as possible. We really would appreciate that. But even better,
well, you can attach an audio file to that email, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and call our number at 941-677-2733 and leave a voicemail that we can play on the air to make you Runcation Nation famous.
Absolutely.
That's 941-677-2733.
So let's talk running.
The 2022 Will Run 4 virtually live race last Saturday. It was happening all over the country. And it started off on Instagram pretty close to 10 a.m., like about 10 till.
Yeah, I like that idea. Go and do like a quick Instagram live as kind of a pre-race
warm up
countdown kind of thing. And then those that registered for the race, they got their packet in the mail, got your medal, your bib. We're going to talk about all that in a minute. You also got an email that gave you the link to a Zoom call.
Yeah, so that you could have the Zoom call kind of on your phone as you were doing your race, or you could join the party if you had done your miles earlier, or as a kickoff if you were going to start running later. And we saw all that. We saw it run all the gamut. Some people who did them before, during the actual time.
Like us. Or
this is just a warm up. We're having some coffee and then we're going to go do it. That was awesome. And it created a sense of community, which I really, really enjoyed. Everybody was telling a little bit about what they were doing, how many miles they were getting in, and where they were. And it was just friends on a run together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you wouldn't call it a virtual 5K because it it wasn't necessarily that you had to do a 5K.
No. So there are people who did, I think Fun Size Jen did almost 6 miles, something like that. And Susie's there doing a whole entire 13.1 and that's her virtually live race too. And just the mileage varied, which I really like. You could choose your own adventure, as it were, and I enjoyed those books as a child.
I did too.
Dating myself, yeah. I liked the swag. It was super unique and cool.
So
I think it was unique.
Let's talk about the swag.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my favorite thing first, and let's talk about your favorite thing.
Okay.
My favorite thing's the bib.
Your favorite thing is the bib. You always talk about the bib.
I know. They sent us these great bibs. And the theme of the race, the kind of the iconography that carries over from the bib to the medal is a sunflower. I'm going to call it a sunflower.
It's beautiful.
It's either a sunflower. It's a big yellow flower with a dark center. I think it's a sunflower. I'm no botanist. I'm going to call it a sunflower. Anyway, these bibs are really vividly colored. They look great. The material is something I'm not accustomed to. This almost feels, instead of that Tyvek, which is kind of feels like paper, but when you look at it at an angle, you can see like fibers kind of throughout it. This is more like vinyl. And we had good weather, so I couldn't really attest to its waterproofness yet, but I want to take this in the shower and see just how waterproof it is. I get the impression this thing is like super waterproof. It held up great, even through shipping. It didn't get crinkled. It didn't get creased. Laying it flat, it flattened out complete. I love it. The bib's great.
I really love the bib as well. And I think they sent us the name of the people who did the bib, and now I don't have it in my notes. But I really that was super solid. My favorite thing, okay, let me just say that I loved the little tattoo and I loved the sticker that we could put on the luggage for the Will Run for. But my favorite thing was the medallion. The medallion,
not a medal.
The medallion. It
medallion.
was kind of like a rope cord yellow, and it wasn't like a ribbon.
Yellow paracord.
Oh, paracord is what we're calling.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I don't know the fancy words. You know the fancy words. I don't. That's fine. That's fine. And I just like that it's wood.
Yeah, the medallion is made of wood. This is a 3-layer medallion.
Yeah.
It looks like a big sunflower with the name of the show, Will Run For, right in the middle. The years and at the bottom of the medallion and one of the petals. This is 2022. And across the top, there's a banner that says Virtually Live.
It's awesome.
And the detail is phenomenal on these things. And it's so unique. It's the only, I believe they are the only race where we've gotten wooden medals or medallions of any sort.
We also got a collapsible cup.
Yes. I forget what they called it. They referred to it by a certain name, but it's basically a little water cup like you would get at a water stop, but it's made out of food grade silicone.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic because you can, drink out of it, dump out the remainder if there's anything left, and then just shove it in your pocket and keep going. Or tuck it into your running belt if you've got a running belt and keep going. This is a great thing for runners who are participating in races because that way you have a reusable water vessel that you're not having to crumple up and toss and somebody has to pick up and creating more trash. So it's a really nice piece of kit in the swag bag. And that's actually what I thought you were going to say was your favorite thing.
The collapsible cup?
Yeah.
No, I love the medallion.
The medallion is cool.
I love the medallion.
It's hanging up right behind you if you wanted to look at it. I don't know if you saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought you were just amazed at my recall of what exactly it looked like. No.
I knew it was right behind me.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw that I had it hanging there.
Yeah. I just really enjoyed everything about this.
Yeah, for me, that race was about kind of hanging out with another podcast community that overlaps and intersects ours.
Let me interject.
Oh, do tell.
Ragged Cuts is the wooden medallion. That's who made it on Instagram is Ragged Cuts. And just gorgeous.
And they do a number of medallions for various events. So
just awesome.
You should check out their Instagram.
The cup was made by Ultra Aspire. Also, No Slubs Run Club silicone collapsible cup made by Ultra Aspire.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. So, sorry. I wanted to give credit where credit was due because that's so gorgeous.
It really is.
Yeah. So, I look forward to next year's Virtually Live. We did a 5K and it wasn't for time. It was just really, you had the phone on the gimbal.
I did.
And we were just walking it.
We were just doing that for two reasons. One, I am still dealing with whatever tendonitis I've got in my left Achilles. It is relentless.
Oh, there's something going on with my left ankle as well. So that's not fun.
And the other thing was we are now officially getting into the summer months here in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
This was a late morning start for a race. And we decided we were going to start doing this for some heat acclimation work for us to start building that up. Because
otherwise, we would have done it at Oh Dark Ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was purely get out there, get the distance in, and be in the heat. And it was warm.
So we're building. They gave us the impetus to build our tolerance and endurance of the warmer, more humid conditions.
Well, and I think that with this race, we've got the upcoming Tampa Beer Run, and then that's going to kind of kick off our training season.
Yeah.
in the summer leading up to our fall races where we have half marathon distances. You've got to start with that heat acclimation because we can't always start our training runs, even on long run days at 4 a.m. Sometimes you have to do it or things happen and you end up having to start after the sun's up. And down here, this time of year, that means temperatures well into the 90s by the time you're done.
And even sometimes when you wake up at 5 a.m., it feels like temperature of,
it's gross.
the 80s.
Absolutely. But yeah, like I said, I think that this for me was really more about, being part of the Will Run For community a little bit.
Yeah.
Getting to see some of the folks that overlap our podcasts.
Jennifer Fink, Fun Size Jen. Susie was busy running her half, but it's great. Bob from his podcast, it was fantastic. The Rise and Run pod. It was just podcasters crossing over and just runners of all abilities hanging out together.
Yes.
And I love that.
So I can't wait to do it again. I'm like you. Next year, looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what the next medal or medallion is going to be.
Yes.
This is one worth checking out. Links in the show notes.
Of course, yeah. The race is past, but links to all their social media and their podcast will be in the show notes.
Exactly. So check it out. Even though we couldn't have this brunch this past weekend when we ran this race.
Oh, boy.
When I do a race like this and we get done around that time of mid to late morning, I do think of brunch.
You feel brunchy?
I do feel brunchy.
Brunchy.
Especially on the weekend.
And we're lucky because Diana from the Will Run For podcast crew recommended a place in Virginia Beach for us to try called Egg Bistro.
Yes. And again, we've said it before. If you have a friend that lives in an area you're traveling to, hit them up for recommendations. Talk to the locals when you get there.
Or people who have been to the race weekend before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say, check out your favorite Runcationing podcast. We may have some recommendations, but we try to get all the inside scoop from people that really know the area.
And boy, did she give us a great recommendation. And we know that they give great recommendations because we had a great brewery thanks to the entire crew when we recapped the Shamrock.
Yes. And Egg Bistro location is very convenient. It's maybe a 10-minute drive, if that, from our hotel.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Which was right on the race course.
Yeah.
Depending on where, if you're staying right there on the main strip along the beach, you're no more than a 10 to 15 minute drive.
It wasn't bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
Once you get there, it's kind of a corner spot in a strip mall.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was what we were expecting.
I like that it's
expecting.
kind of a tucked away gem.
Yes.
I really like that.
But for a tucked away gym, it's huge.
Yeah. When we walked in there, we expected a tiny place because it was on the corner of a strip mall. But man, it was like a big long hallway and just kept going and going and going.
Yes.
And they had a bar and booths and tables. And it was just, so it was a combination of different types of seating and just Dave Matthews Band posters everywhere.
Yes. There was a bit of a theme. So it would seem.
Just everywhere.
And I like the fact that this place has a little bit of something for everybody with great food, local craft beer, and craft cocktails. But in this particular instance,
we're here for the food.
We're here for the food.
Yeah. And boy, howdy.
Why don't you kick it off?
So I ordered, we had 3 items. I ordered the chicken and waffles. We shared the banana nut bread French toast. And you got a Benedict, which we will talk about here in a bit. But the chicken and waffles, it's a Belgian waffle topped with house battered fried chicken breast, served with a side of caramel bourbon sauce. Caramel bourbon sauce.
It bears repeating.
Caramel bourbon sauce. also with hash browns or grits for $12.99. It was a beautifully cooked waffle, and you can tell that it's a house battered chicken because it's not. So at some fried chicken chains, you'll see that the breading sometimes flakes off. It's really kind of, it's a flaky breading that can fall off. This was hardcore, and it was maybe a finer texture. You know what I mean? Like a homemade texture. It made me think of when my mother would do fried chicken, or when I would go to a friend's house for dinner as a kid and I would see fried chicken that had batter that was really stick to the chicken batter.
Yeah.
And it was crispy and juicy and just flavorful.
I love fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's hard to go wrong with chicken and waffles. It really is. And there's something just wonderful about a malty waffle.
Oh, yeah.
That
I was talking about the chicken.
Malty waffle. Well, I'm leading into that chicken.
Yeah.
Let me have a bite of that. And
yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, okay. Crunchy on the outside, nice and pillowy. But then you get to the chicken, and you've got the crunchy, savory, a little bit salty.
Yeah.
And if it were dry, this would be too much. It'd be too dry on top of bread.
Dry on dry with dry.
Yeah. And they really hit the ball out of the park with knowing how to cook that chicken.
The waffle was just pillowy and golden brown. So you get a little bit of the waffle. You get a little bit of the chicken with the breading and the juicy chicken inside, the meat. And then you have this caramel bourbon sauce. Now, it's not boozy.
No.
Not boozy.
No.
Caramel, yes. Yes. It was... I'm sorry. I'm thinking back to it. And it was just so sweet and the perfect condiment, the perfect sauce to go with the waffle and the chicken.
Yeah, it was thicker than a maple syrup. So for me, it was something where you would almost spread it with a knife or the back of your spoon on each bite.
Or you would think of it as like a caramel sauce from a sundae.
Exactly.
That kind of thicker, dripping consistency.
Yeah, good call.
So good.
But
I needed like a bowl of it, really, because you know how I feel about sauce.
I do.
If I put sauce on something, it's going to be covered with it.
Well, and let's talk about portion here.
Oh,
'Cause
huge. 3 pieces of chicken. 3 pieces of chicken and 3 pieces of waffle.
Yeah, I think this was big enough to share.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
totally. We did not eat everything in this meal.
No.
I'm telling you. And you could take this away, but here I think you should ask for some of the bourbon caramel sauce too, as extra when you take your portion to go for when you get back home and you emerge from your brunch coma. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
now, the item that we split was their banana nut bread French toast. And this is their house-made banana nut bread that they dip in their signature French toast batter. And then they grill it to perfection, as they say on their menu. Topped with a drizzle of vanilla cream and the caramel bourbon sauce with butter. This also had slices of banana and chopped walnuts on top. I'm looking at the photo here.
Oh, the bread was so soft. It's a different texture than the fruit and then the crunchiness of the nuts. And you don't need a knife. You just cut it with your fork, and you got to get all of the different sauce elements. You have to get the perfect bite.
Yes.
Of the bread, which is a dark brown. And of course, the caramel. And it's like I don't even know. It's so good. It's like a bananas Foster.
That's a good way to describe it. I mean, it
Without
basically,
the fire.
Yeah, they basically are griddling it to get a crisp on the exterior of that banana nut bread. Mm-hmm. And that is just such a great texture. And then most of the time when we have banana bread, it's room temperature.
Yeah.
Having it where it's cooked and crunchy on the outside, a little soft and warm on the inside.
So good.
So good.
It was a dessert. It could be a dessert.
This also, huge portion. Mm-hmm. Absolutely big enough for 2 people to share. Mm-hmm. And that's assuming you didn't get anything else except maybe a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But no, I had to go
There's
a different
more.
route. I decided to get the Benny and the Grits.
Benny.
Benny. Yeah, Benny and the Grits is a grits cake mixed with a blend of 3 cheeses and sausage.
Oh my God.
Topped with Cajun grilled shrimp, smoked Surrey sausage, onions, and roasted peppers. Then they top this with 2 poached eggs, hollandaise sauce, and a sprinkle of their house Cajun seasoning.
Oh.
I got mine with the side of their hash browns.
Their hash browns were super crispy on top.
Their hash browns are fresh and, like you said, super crispy. They were phenomenal. What can I say about these things? Number one.
I'm sorry. A grid cake as opposed to an English muffin. I love English muffins on a Benedict.
I do too. I think this elevated the Benedict though.
Yes.
So the grit cake was about the size of an English muffin, or each of the cakes was the size of an English muffin, and there were 2.
But it was so thick.
And they were, nice and thick. These things were fried. So they had this wonderful golden brown exterior, nice and crunchy.
I mean, they looked almost like like a crab cake.
Yes.
But not.
Absolutely. That's a good way to describe it. That's kind of what the appearance of it was. And those come out to the table and you've got all the stuff on top. So you've got the Cajun grilled shrimp. I love shrimp and grits. You've got poached eggs. I love poached eggs. You've got hollandaise sauce. You could put hollandaise sauce on a spare tire and it would taste good.
Of course.
So
Naturally.
It's got literally everything you could want. Crunchy, cheesy, smoky, savory, salty, tart. Amazing.
So wonderful. Whoever thought this up was genius.
Yeah.
I only wish that we had room for their Monte Cristo also.
Oh my gosh. And I think we were both really close to ordering that.
Uh-huh.
How did we not order that?
I don't know.
I honestly haven't had a Monte Cristo since
Bennigan's went out of business.
Yeah. And do you have the menu up? Can you tell everybody? This is this is the thing. By the way, we love what we got. I think.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about
100%.
three home runs here.
Yes,
but
and they had some kind of challenge going on while we were at the restaurant.
There was a big food challenge, and the gentleman was able to complete it while we were there.
He was successful, and it was a huge omelet.
I want to say it was like a 4-pound or a 5-pound food challenge,
something like that.
They describe it, and it might even be in the menu.
It might be, but. I know I got us off track.
Yes.
The Monte Cristo is what we wanted to order. We were tempted and distracted by the banana nut the banana nut bread French toast and the Benny and the Grits, which I think is so creative. The Monte Cristo has ham, bacon, provolone cheese stuffed between our signature cinnamon swirl French toast.
Yeah.
So we could have had... with warm syrup and powdered sugar served with hash browns or grits. Why didn't we get it? We have to go back.
I know.
Okay?
That sounds amazing. It's not a traditional Monte Cristo, but it sounds so good.
We have to go back. The 4-pound omelet challenge, you are correct.
Yeah, okay, so this is the challenge we saw a gentleman complete.
Yes.
While we were there.
And we might see lots of Look how big that is. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The massive meal consists of slow roasted corned beef brisket, house-made corned beef hash, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, topped with our house-made garlic Thousand Island aioli, and served with our roasted potatoes and a biscuit, along with inside of a 4-pound omelet.
4 pounds.
Yes. You have 30 minutes and you win a t-shirt.
And if we had taken bets, I would have lost because I didn't think he was going to be able to finish it.
And he did.
He
had 30 minutes and he did it.
I was very impressed.
So, yay.
I know that I couldn't have finished it.
Oh, no. It's huge. There's no way.
We're going to have a link to the Egg Bistro in the show notes. You need to go check out the photos on their website to see this challenge.
Oh, yeah.
We also are going to have photos up in our social media feed. Plus, I believe you've got some of the food in our episode artwork for this week.
I do.
So check that out as well to get a look at some of this amazing food that we're talking about. Really, they couldn't have steered us better for a dining option.
Yeah. We would have been happy, I think, no matter what we had from the menu. It didn't matter. We would have been failures at the challenge.
Oh, 100%.
But super happy with the meal itself. If we had gotten that, or if we'd gotten the Monte Cristo, or anything that we got, we were so satisfied. So good. And we thank the Will Run For crew for the recommendation.
But before we go on and talk about our drink for the week, we want to say a special thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the show.
You have enabled us to improve every part of the podcast, and you've helped us make it even better heading into, not even a month before our 5th anniversary.
That's right. If you're a patron, thank you so much. If not, and you want bonus content like behind the scenes footage that'll give you a good laugh, check out patreon.com/runningdrinkpodcast. Or if you're in the Podbean app, tap on the button right at the top of the Podbean app on the screen of your mobile device.
This week, we're going to put some bonuses from the place where we got some amazing coffee. And that's coming up in the beverage portion of our show. And sometimes it's audio, sometimes it's video. We put things in that we just couldn't fit into our episode. So
it's hard to keep the episodes to around an hour. And if we just showed you everything we did and got to experience in a trip, these would be 3-hour episodes.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we want to be respectful of your time, but we still think that we found some pretty amazing stuff to share with you.
So patrons get a little bit of bonus. So if you head to the Shamrock Marathon weekend, for example, you know even more about where to accomplish, explore, and indulge.
The show itself is always going to be free, but if you want even more, join us. Check out the different levels and become a patron today. As always, thank you to everybody who supports the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Let's talk coffee because it's the perfect quintessential
beverage.
Breakfast or brunch beverage.
It's an all-day beverage in this household, folks.
It is true. That's true. I was having it at 4:00 yesterday afternoon.
You were?
Yeah.
And that?
Typically, I wouldn't.
Typically, you don't, but, some days you need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah.
And we stumbled into an area in Virginia Beach that was just, the whole neighborhood was kind of like an artsy district, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Lots of murals, just cool little shops and cafes.
Little cafes and restaurants too.
And this place caught our attention. I admittedly, because my inner 12-year-old was very amused by the name.
Oh, which is Badass Coffee of Hawaii.
Cute little location in Virginia Beach.
Like a cute little blue house.
Yeah.
So cute.
But as I understand it, they have locations in other cities as well.
Yes.
So this is not going to be a Virginia Beach exclusive.
No. They're throughout the United States so that you could find one that's near you from the link in our show notes.
But this is a chain that we have not had the opportunity to experience prior to this, and one that was very, very well trafficked by Virginia Beach natives.
Super busy with both runners from the Shamrock Marathon weekend and a lot of local traffic, a lot of families. And it was just wall to wall busy from the time we entered, till the time we left.
So we did have the wherewithal to get out the microphone and chat it up there in Badass Coffee of Hawaii. And we want to share that with you right now.
Hey, Runcation Nation. We are coming to you live from Virginia Beach at the 50th running of the Shamrock Marathon. And just like when we're back home, one of the most important things that we can do for everyone's well-being, really, is make sure that we get some coffee in us.
Yes, we drink coffee for your benefit.
For everyone's safety and well-being. And we're really pretty fortunate, just within walking distance from our hotel, we stumbled upon a really cool little place with a name that you won't forget. It's called
Badass Coffee.
Badass Coffee. And it's not...
Of Hawaii.
Oh, yes. Badass Coffee of Hawaii.
I was focused on the first part.
I think most people will be. And, you know, they actually talk about the origin of the name on a poster that they have inside of the restaurant. They talk about the use of donkeys in Kona, Hawaii to haul the beans down the mountain. And the name Badass is a reference to those donkeys. Their menu is fantastic with regular, drip brew coffees as well as espresso-based beverages, and then a litany of smoothies. Mm-hmm. I went super simple with my beverage. I ended up getting just a large drip brew Kona coffee, and I went for their medium roast. I wanted to split the difference. And I gotta say, I'm not disappointed.
Well, you normally have a medium roast.
My preference is usually a medium, yeah. This is a fantastic cup of coffee. They do a really nice job of selecting their beans. They are actively involved in the selection of their beans and the roasting of their beans. Here, this is not just a reseller of another company's beans. They have their own roastery and distribution, and they pick a heck of a good batch of beans for their regular drip brew.
Indeed.
For me, this is a very light-bodied, well-flavored, deep flavor without tasting burnt. Just a super pleasant cup. I like Kona, I always have. It tends to be a little pricier, of course, because it's a pretty rare varietal. A large coffee here is going to run you about $5.
So it's more expensive because of the selection of the beans.
Selection of the bean, the quality of the bean, and this is well worth it, in my opinion.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And not just because I have tried yours on its own, but because it is the base for my drink, which is called a Black Widow. You know why I choose this. If you've followed our podcast for any length of time, you know this. It's coffee with 4 to 6 shots of espresso, depending on the size you get. So I got, let's not be crazy, I got a medium, or the smaller of the two. So I'm sure it's on the lighter side of the number of espresso shots. I didn't ask, I just ordered. And I asked that they put in oat milk, because they do have oat milk, almond milk, they have soy, they have coconut milk, they have
regular milk,
half and half, heavy cream. Yeah, they have all of that. And I really like the medium roast as the base because it's not acidic.
Yes.
It's smooth, and that doesn't take away from the flavor. of the coffee. It's like just a light splash of the oat milk.
And I like oat milk in coffee because that's the only plant-based milk that really has the creaminess that actually lightens your coffee well. So it's a good selection.
I think that their coffee beverages are just one reason to come to Badass Coffee. We got Superfood Smoothies. We got both vegan options on that menu.
Yeah, and again, the difference for the vegan and non-vegan options is the base that they're using, the type of milk that they're using. So you could probably vegan up any of their other smoothies if you wanted to.
If you figured it out. But maybe not. It just depends on the other ingredients of that particular smoothie. You got a dreamsicle.
I did.
Which is oranges, carrots, pineapple, agave, vanilla pea protein, orange juice, coconut milk, hemp seeds, and goji berry powder.
Yeah. Now, this thing tastes exactly like an orange creamsicle. It was surprising to me that all those flavors came together, but they did really nicely.
Yeah.
When you hear like vanilla pea protein, a lot of times you'll see like pea milk as an option for a plant-based milk. I think that they just used it as a powder in this one, but flavor-wise and texture-wise, it was super smooth and absolutely delivered on the creamsicle flavor.
Yes, that was very good. I got some. I just can't help it. The names.
The marketing got you.
The marketing got me for both of my options today. I chose them for the names. Let's be real. Kick-Ass is the name of the superfood smoothie I got. Blackberries, raspberries, cauliflower, mango, vanilla pea protein, orange juice, coconut water, elderberry, and agave. Cauliflower.
Yeah,
people. I've never had a smoothie with cauliflower. This is a first.
That is a first. I've never heard of that. And what'd you think?
I can't taste cauliflower in this. If they didn't tell me, I wouldn't know. So I know that the vanilla pea protein powder is in there, and it's just like the crushed ice in that consistency. It's super smooth, but there's the graininess of the protein powder. But it doesn't matter. The cauliflower doesn't matter. The protein powder, because the berries are that's what's highlighted in this smoothie.
And it's a great selection. You love blackberries and raspberries anyway.
We have them very frequently on the top of our cold soaked oats in the morning, and it's not the danger with raspberries, or that would be that the seeds would get into your teeth and all of that. They are ground so fine that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I think they've got one of those big Blend Tech blenders, or those monster blenders back in the back.
I love the flavor. You can't tell there are veggies in here. I would get this again. I loved yours.
Yeah, I would get it again.
Yes. Is it pricier here? Yes. You have to know that going in. But it's delightful. We've seen a lot of our fellow runners in here, a lot of locals.
Yeah. Struck up some conversations with the runners. So it's been a great find.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan here.
I think they may have locations in other places. Or you can order their coffee. I'm looking at their website right now. You can order their coffee online. They have K-Cups.
Oh, I didn't mention it. Their merch here.
Yeah.
They have some really cute merchandise. Their shirts and stuff. They have great mugs. And you can buy whole bean coffee to take with you. And they have a very nice selection of whole bean coffee. And you mentioned K-Cups.
Yes.
Not every place you go to offers you the option of their coffee in a K-Cup format.
Virginia Beach, and then Miramar Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Santa Rosa Beach, Pensacola. There's one in Naples, Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah.
Great finds. Check them out.
It's badass.
Smoothies and coffee, perfect for us. Delicious and healthy. And who knew about some of those secret ingredients that it all tastes good together.
It does. And when a chain is getting it right, we don't mind covering that on the show. And let me tell you, Badass Coffee of Hawaii is doing it right. We really appreciate their hospitality and the amazing beverages that we got. So check them out. Links in the show notes, of course.
They even spelled my name right on my coffee beverage when they called my name.
They didn't even ask.
They didn't even ask. I don't know how they knew.
I don't either.
It was great. And they were so nice. So if you have the chance, check out Badass Coffee of Hawaii near you.
Next week, stay tuned for more.
Oh, yes. More as we accomplish, explore, and indulge on the show with you, the Runcation Nation. We need your help. We need you to head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and review. It's been a hot minute since we've gotten one. And we want to make you Runcation Nation famous by reading your review on the show. We want to know what we do well. We want to know what you like and want more of. And that is one free way that you can help the show.
So head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and review, and let us read it so that we can make you Runcation Nation famous. You will be helping us more than you realize because it's all about the algorithm.
As you like to say.
It is all about their algorithm, and they like the recent reviews, and eventually they fall off. So please head over there, do that for us. Just take 2 minutes. We would really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening, for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, or wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.